I'm most concerned by your very last point about epistemic enslavement. I take it very, very seriously. And my question is, how is it compatible with the condition of explainability and intelligibility that you mentioned? I think it cannot be reconciled with it, because the whole point of the AI is that, unlike any traditional source of knowledge in the past, the AI is exactly based on data or conclusions which are by their very nature in a black box which cannot be explained. By the way, if we talk about medical situations, it's not that the doctor can explain to me every one of her decisions regarding my treatment, but I at least I know that she can understand the mechanism by which she reaches her knowledge. In this case, the doctor won't have even that epistemic condition.
No, I agree. This is a problem. Is it working? No. Yeah. This is a problem, and I think it can be solved to a certain extent along the lines that the European Commission has suggested, and that is to not to solve the problem once and for all for whole society, for all of its applications. So they favor a kind of a sectoral approach. They say, for example, when you are dealing with your stock of paper clips and you use AI, then a kind of a rough approximation of what the system has been looking at is okay. But for certain other applications, that would just not do it, right? So, and then you would have to decide not to apply it there. You can use it in many, many other places. So you're not foregoing the benefits of what the technology can bring, but you decide not to use it somewhere else. There are, by the way, and I think it was also by the IBM speaker highlighted, that it is the holy grail right now. Everyone is working on it. You can push that development a little bit further so that you can, let's say, kind of enlarge the territory in which it responsibly can be applied. For example, we have looked, or colleagues of mine have looked at, you're familiar with the literature of epistemology, in that we talk about defeaters, right? So you can design for defeaters. You can just kind of design the system in such a way that alarm bells will go off and pointers to the user that there is something wrong and they should stop and should investigate manually or shift to a different modus operandi. So there are some ways but I think there will be a moment where we have to decide, no, if we want to really benefit from the power of these incredibly complex systems, then it cannot be used here. Right? So that's of course, we have tremendous problems now in the military domain where we are using or about to use these kind of machine learning, deep learning systems that may not be in compliance with international humanitarian law because you can't explain. Yeah, but still they are pushing ahead. Yeah.
The problem is only that the defeaters themselves are based on
absolutely right.
Some process which is unexplainable.
Well, that's true. And as I showed in the cockpit example, people are narrowly embedded in an epistemic niche. So every information they will get via the system, which of course, only aggravates the problem. Yeah.
Jonathan, you want to?
Again, is this? Yeah, that's working. It reminded me why I avoid the literature on AI in medicine. I'm just going to stick to drug development. So let me ask a question that is from my realm, but that I think bridges to your realm, and both speakers I think really touched on it. It strikes me that when we move to the sort of traditional realm of innovation in medicine, namely drug development, we have all these sort of systems and structures that are set up to kind of filter information, to validate it, and to establish its probity before we actually apply it. So for example, in drug development, you've got these different phases of clinical trials. There's a regulatory structure, as I talked about, that compels this structure in some way. You've got systems of meta-analysis that are pooling information, finding some way to prioritize or create a hierarchy based on the quality of evidence and whatnot. So at the end of the day, decision makers in medicine, whether they're policymakers or bedside physicians, et cetera, have some way of assessing the probity of the information or the evidence that they have. What I'm gathering from both presentations is that all bets are completely off in the realm of AI. And I want to sort of, I guess my question, my question is, well, first I want to mention that, you mentioned this idea of epistemic chaos, this Zuboff, notion. What scares the shit out of me about this stuff is that you have really low entry barriers to generating applications and information that now is sort of tossed on the laps of a bunch of physicians and policymakers to digest and figure out what the hell to do with, without any kind of clear regulatory structures that are going to kind of filter in the same way we do with drugs. Am I off base with that anxiety, or? Sorry for that very lengthy preamble.
Okay. We're done? Okay. Just
last famous words.
I think we're not, I think your anxiety is somewhat justified if you look at what is going out there without, having gone through that system. Perhaps, though, where I should calm you down is that both the FDA, the EMA, at least for a certain type of applications, I think, well, the FDA much more than the EMA, the European Medicines Agency, is trying to create a similar system to what we had in drug development to make those assessments. But the thing that worries me very much is a lot of this fanfare around AI is not so much about this, what we would call medical devices. It's for all this other health stuff that's beyond what we classify as health, as medical devices. All the apps, all the things, all those. And there, I feel that it is practically impossible for the filtering system because there are thousands. And what system can we imagine? Maybe we should be imagining, because you said we should be imagining stuff, but so far we haven't found a good system. So, there's some hope on the medical device side, but there's, I think, less hope on the other part.
So I apologize, but my real boss, which is Dr. Yael Ben-Chaim, says we're running late. So I'm sure there are more questions. The speakers will be here, and we're going out for a 20-minute coffee break.
Thank you.